as a Catholic, I don't know if you have kids or if you send them to Catholic school, but if you did, how would you feel about this decision?
Well, I have got 5 kids, Mercy, and they all go to Catholic school. And one thing, I mean, you've talked about the blasphemous element of it, but also this book would be equally offensive if it had a heterosexual theme. So a lot of parents, whether they're religious or not, would really dislike this book, and there have been a lot of complaints about it. I've seen a lot of feminists complaining about it, and just a lot of ordinary mums and dads, because it's peddling smut. So if you took the protagonist of the book, who is a gay boy, and you made him, or you made him straight, or you made the protagonist a girl, it would be equally offensive because it's peddling smut and soft pornography. And such is the nature of what has been written. I couldn't even say it on a daytime show. I don't even like putting it out there on social media. I put it on a priest's page the other day when there was a debate going on, so people could see the nature of what was being said. And in the book, it's a younger pupil fantasizing about a sexual relationship with an older pupil. So it's someone under the age of consent fantasizing about sex with an older boy. And there's also, they talk about pornography, and again, I'm trying to be very careful about what I say. The language is vulgar, the language is smutty. If this was Jackie Collins, I mean, it's actually worse in some ways than Jackie Collins or Jilly Cooper. And if they were being promoted to teenage children, parents might well raise an eyebrow and say, well, what value has this literature got? So it's more than just it's kind of being the teachers who are on strike, which, as you say, is disgraceful. Actually, the teachers should either get back to work or be sacked. Now, let's remember that in a few weeks' time, we have the first set of public examinations in 2 years. You've got year 11s sitting their GCSEs. You've got year 13s sitting their A-levels, and the year 13s, incidentally, who are sitting their A-levels won't have sat any GCSEs. So it's their first public examinations, and you've got these teachers going on strike. I can't express how angry I would be if I was a parent at this school.
I mean, from the content of what you said there, it does sound very much like 50 Shades of Gay, doesn't it, actually? But just in terms of actually the wider issue, potentially, whether it's about Catholic schools maybe losing some of their Catholic identity with some of the entry requirements, do you feel that that's potentially a problem here? Because let's be honest, we wouldn't be having this kind of conversation if it was relating to an Islamic school, would we? It just wouldn't be happening.
No, I don't think it's that, actually, Patrick. It's a good point, and a very relevant point that you raised, that, a lot of Catholic schools don't have exclusively Catholic students, and a lot of parents of children of all faiths and none choose that Catholic school because they want that Catholic ethos. Actually, I think the problem here is in the governors and the foundation governors. So the reason why the diocese has removed the governors is because the foundation governors are supposed to uphold the Catholic ethos of that school. And I think somewhere along the lines, the Catholic school has been captured, to use a phrase I use a lot, but has been captured by LGBT ideology, has been captured by Stonewall, and schools are so very worried that they're going to fail their Ofsted because they're not ticking the relevant diversity boxes, that they kind of do whatever they can to show that they are LGBTQ plus IAP friendly. And actually, there's no need to be doing this, particularly, as you say, in a Catholic school, which has specific beliefs. You can easily teach children that families do come in all shapes and sizes, and in fact it's key Catholic teaching that unjust discrimination should be avoided, that we should respect the dignity of every human life, and that should be at the core of every Catholic school. But there's no need, as Mercy says, to go into detailed specifics about how to have a pleasurable sex life, which is sort of some of what this book has been sort of leaning into.
Yeah.
And it is almost grooming. It's kind of introducing, and bear in mind the age group that this book was, and the author was going to speak to, year 7s, year 8s. Now I've got a daughter in year 7, and I would be horrified. She's not emotionally ready for this kind of material. It was very, very explicit.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Really interesting conversation there. Caroline Farrow, campaign director at Citizen Go in UK and Ireland. I think that's the thing. Children mature at different ages, don't they? And so parents will know when their children are emotionally ready to hear about those sorts of things. And I think it should be left up to parents rather than schools
I
and
think
teachers.
so. I think so. I mean, you know, I just think there's that fine line, isn't there, between some people maybe claiming, like, certain sexual proclivities are being forced on their children, or actually being open and tolerant of the fact that some children will have those sexual proclivities and don't want to make them feel like outsiders. And so it is an almost impossible balance to strike. But when I think you're doing things like we saw earlier about getting drag acts in schools...
Yeah, no, that's inexcusable.
Some of the other things that I don't think I can say at this time in the morning about other primary schools in this country, I just question the need for it, really. I also find it a bit condescending because you can be gay and not want to be a drag act, you know? I mean, some of these things are unnecessarily stereotypical and, dare I say it, all too often probably put in place by some rather well-meaning straight person who doesn't really quite understand the nuances of it all, I would have thought.
Yes.